So in this video, I will discuss measures of position. So ginagamit yung measures of position to know literal na position ng isang data with respect to the set of data na meron. Okay? So ano-ano yung mga measures of position na i-discuss ko dito? The first one will be about quartiles. So a quartile is a measure of relative standing. So let x sub 1, x sub 2, x sub 3 up to x sub n be a set of n measurements arranged in order of magnitude. So pag sinabing quartile, so naka-arrange muna yung data in increasing order from lowest to highest. Tapos yung quartile basically, yun yung humahati sa data mo, sa set of data mo, into 4 equal groups. So as you can see there, meron dyang 2, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pito yung scores na yan. Okay, so ngayon, kung maaalala nyo yung median, so di ba yung median is the middlemost score. So may kita natin, 5 dito yung median. So basically, yung median, hinahati niya sa dalawang group yung data mo. So kung makikita nyo dito, yan, tatlo yung nasa left niya or yung less than 5, tatlo rin yung greater than 5. So siya talaga yung panghati into 2 equal groups. But when we talk about quartiles, sa apat natin siya hahatiin. So 4 here will be another quartile and 7 will be another quartile. So meron tayong tatlong quartile. So first quartile, second quartile, and third quartile. So for example, so find the first quartile, second quartile, and third quartile of the following set of data. So kung makikita nyo, meron ako dyang 15 na scores or 15 na observations. So you need to arrange it first from lowest to highest. So yan na yon. So pag in-arrange yung 15 na yan, that's from 0 to 19. Ngayon, kung meron kang 15 scores, ibig sabihin yung pang-walo dun, yun yung magiging median natin. So kung bibilangin ko yung pang-walo, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So ito yung ngayon yung magiging second quartile or yung median. Why? Kasi hinahati niya into 2 equal groups. 7 yung nasa less than sa kanya, then 7 din yung greater than. So to get the other quartile, so kung makikita nyo, 7 yung nasa left niya, kunin nyo ulit yung gitna nun, that will be 6. So ito yung first quartile. Dito rin, mula 12 hanggang 19, 7 yan, kunin mo yung gitna, that will be 14. So ito yung third quartile. Okay, so ganyan lang kasimple kunin yung quartiles ng isang set of data. So ngayon, another example is this. Meron tayong 12 students in a 30-item quiz on philosophy. So yan yung mga scores nila. And we need to compute the quartiles. So paano yun? So yan ulit yung scores. In-arrange ko na. 12 yan. So ngayon, kung titignan nyo, kung 12 lang yung data natin, bale yung pang 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, nandiyan yung second quartile. Okay, so ito, iba tong example since wala kang makukuwang eksaktong middle dito eh. So may gagawin ka pa doon sa 19 and 21. Same goes here. Kung nandito yung gitna niyan, ibig sabihin, yung quartile 1 ay banda dito. And yung quartile 3 ay nandito. Okay? So ngayon, paano natin yan kukumputin? So first, we need to find the position of that data na hinahanap natin. So paano yun? By using the formula, Q sub I equals I over 4, then we have N plus 1, then position. So merong TH. So I is the respective quartile na kailangan mo. Let's say quartile 1, edi 1 ang lalagay mo. Quartile 2, 2 ang ilalagay mo. Quartile 3, 3 yung ilalagay mo. And then N is the number of samples na meron. So let's say kukunin ko yung quartile 1. So since quartile 1 yan, we have 1/4 times n kung ilan lahat yung samples natin. So that will be 12 plus 1. Okay, so pag kinalculate natin yan, that will be 1/4 of 13 or 3.25. Then, note that yung 3.25 ay position yan. Ngayon, kung ituturing niya yung position, 17, ito yung third. Di ba? Kasi ito yung first eh. First, second, third, ito yung fourth. Yung 3.25, somewhere doon sa 17 and 18, which is the third and the fourth quartile. Ngayon, paano natin kukumpitin kung nasaan siya mismo? Okay, so kung mapapansin nyo, since 3.25 yan, 0.25, mas malapit yun dapat sa third. Ibig sabihin, kung yung third data natin dito ay 17, dapat mas malapit sa 17 kesa sa 18 yung magiging sagot natin. So to do that, we will use what we call interpolation. Paano ginagamit yung interpolation? So we have three basic steps. Una, subtract mo lang yung data values na involved. So, fourth minus third. So, you have 18 minus 17, that will be 1. And then next, kung ano yung sagot doon, yung 1, you multiply it dito, yung decimal part, yung butal. Bakit yung butal lang? Kasi alam na natin na yung third ay 17. Hinahanap lang natin yung 0.25, ano yung madadagdag doon sa 17. Okay, when it comes dun sa position na 0.25. So you multiply it by 0.25, so we get 0.25. Then the last step is, alam natin na yung 17 ay yung third, so add mo na lang to. Yun yung madadagdag. Base sa position niya na 3.25. So we have 17.25. So yun na yung first quartile sa 17.25. So para makuha niyo yung quartile 2 and 3, ganun lang din gagawin nyo. So let's say sa quartile 2. So meron akong 2/4, 2/4 na siya, no? Ng 13 pa rin. Kasi 12 naman talaga yung given natin. So plus 1, 13. So we have here 6.5. Again, since pwesto yan, nandito yan. Ito yung 6, ito yung 7. Okay? Dahil 6.5 yan, saktong gitna yan ng 6 tsaka 7. So therefore, quartile 2 is just 20. Since yun yung gitna ng 19 and 21. Pero kung gusto mong sagutan, pwede naman, subtract mo 21 minus 19. We have 2. Then yung sagot na yun na 2, multiply it dun sa butal na 0.5, you get 1. And then lastly, you have 19, yun yung pang 6. Then plus 1, you have 20. So 20 talaga yung quartile 2. And then if you use the same formula to get quartile 3, makukuha mo dyan ay 24.5. So you can check it on your own para ma-verify nyo kung nasundan nyo ba yung process. So that's for the quartile. The next one will be about z-scores. So the z-score of the data observation is computed by subtracting the mean from the data value and then dividing the resulting difference with the standard deviation. The value obtained tells us how many standard deviations away a data value is from the mean. So basically, pag z-scores, kinocompute natin yung layo ng isang data value with respect to the mean. Kung naaalala nyo to, ito yung normal curve. Diba sa normal curve, yung mean yan ay nasa gitna. So ito yung mean. Then, yung kada unit dyan corresponds to the standard deviation. So let's say for instance, nandito yung score mo. Ibig sabihin, you are 2 standard deviations away from the mean. So, gawa tayo ng example. Let's say, meron kang mean na 65. Then you have a standard deviation of 5. So, ibig sabihin, yung sa 0, nandun yung 65 since yun yung mean. Then, since ang standard deviation mo is 5, yun yung basis mo ng 1 unit. So ito yung magiging 70, 75, 80 kasi by 5. On the other hand, yung negative, you have 60, 55, and 50. Okay? So yun yung mga sakto. Paano? Let's say for instance, ang score mo ay, let's say may data ka na 63. So kung 63 yun, somehow, nandito yun sa bandang 0 and negative 1. Kasi kung titignan nyo, yung negative 1 corresponds to 60, then yung 0 corresponds to 65. So di ba yung 63, somewhere dito yun, sa interval ng 60 and 65. Okay, so yun yung katumbas na z-score nung 63. Dapat nasa negative 0 point something. Ayan. So let's have an example. Angelica scored 72 on the first long exam, for which the mean was 65 and the standard deviation is 8. Pwede natin yung i-drawing. So let's say, ito yung normal curve. Alam mo na yung 0 corresponds to 65 since yun yung mean. At since ang standard deviation is 8, ibig sabihin, 1 unit dito corresponds to 8. So kung susulat natin yun, we have 73, since 65 plus 8, plus 8 ulit, 81 and 89. Dito sa kabila, minus 8 ka naman. So you have 57, then 49, and then 41. Ang tinatanong, yung 72. Ano kaya ang katumbas na z-score ng 72? Tandaan nyo na ito yung z-score na tinatawag. Ito yung raw score. So kung ang raw score mo ay 72, ano kaya yung z-score na katumbas nun? Kung visualize mo na natin, 0 ay nasa 65, yung 1 ay nasa 73. Ngayon, kung 72 yung score mo, dapat somehow nasa pagitan yan ng 0 and 1. Okay, so paano natin ma-verify na nasa pagitan talaga siya ng 0 and 1? We need to use this formula. Z equals x minus mean all over standard deviation. So to compute, yung x dito will be the raw score na gusto mong i-convert. So dito sa example na to, that will be 72. Yun yung gusto nating i-convert into z-score minus the mean, which is 65, all over 8. So the answer will be 0.875. So which is logical naman since yung 0 corresponds to 65, 1 corresponds to 73. So dapat yung 72 ay nasa pagitan lang yan at malapit siya sa 1. So we have 0.875. So let's have another example. A group of friends compares what they receive while trick or treating. They find that the average number of pieces of candy received is 43 with a standard deviation of 2. So kung drawing muna natin yung scenario, alam natin na yung nasa middle ay 43 since siya yung mean, and then yung standard deviation is 2. That would imply na yung 1, 2, 3 dito, we have here 45, 47, 49. Since by 2. Dito naman sa negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, by 2 pa din, you have 41, 39, 37. Ang tinatanong is, what is the z-score corresponding to 20 pieces of candy? Ngayon, kung visualize nyo pa lang, 37 sa negative 3, malamang yung 20 ay malayo pa doon. Nandun pa sa negative na medyo malayo sa negative 3. Ngayon, to confirm, we can use again the formula, x minus mean over standard deviation. So we have x, yung ko-convert natin, 20, minus yung mean, which is 43, divided by 2, which is the standard deviation. So kapag kinumpit nyo yan, we will get negative 11.5. So that negative 11.5 will be the corresponding z-score of 20 pieces of candy. Okay? So how about the next one? if the z-score of the number of pieces of candy that Zia received is 6, how many pieces of candy did she receive while trick or treating? In this case, given yung z-score, we need to find the raw score. So ganun pa rin, you have z equals x minus mean over standard deviation. We know that the z-score is 6. So ang aalamin natin, ano yung raw score na may z-score of 6? So we have here minus the mean, which is 43 over 2. So pag minanipulate nyo yan, multiply nyo lang to, you get 12 equals x minus 43. Then you have 43 plus 12 is x, which will result to x equals 55. So that will be the value of x na may z-score of 6. Okay, so last example is this one. Which of the following test scores is the highest relative score? So paano natin malalaman relatively? Kailangan natin i-standardize yung score by converting it into a z-score. So computein natin. So for letter A, we have a score of 65, that will be x. This will be the mean and this will be the standard deviation. So kung compare natin, z equals x minus mean over standard deviation. So we will have 65 minus 72 over 8.2. Okay, so pag kinumpit natin yan, what do we have? So we will have be negative 0.85. So try naman natin yung b. So ganun ulit. No? Z equals x minus mean over standard deviation. This time, yung score nyo na is 102 minus yung mean is 130 all over 18.5, which is the standard deviation. So pag sinagot natin yan, that will be negative 1.51. And lastly, we have z equals the score of 605 minus the mean of 720 all over the standard deviation, which is 116.4. So pag kinumpit ulit natin yan, we have negative 0.99. So since we're dealing about, ang tinatanong is highest relative score, the answer is letter A. Why? Kung the-drawing nyo sa normal curve yan, we know that this is 0. Siyempre yung, since puro negative yan, yung mas malapit sa 0, yun yung mas mataas. Okay, so negative 1.1 yung pinakamababa dyan, followed by negative 0.99 and negative 0.85. So the answer is A. Okay, and then for the last one, we have the percentile rank. So dito naman medyo baliktad siya doon sa quartile. Sa quartile kanina, hinahanap natin yung score na kung saan mapupunta yung quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3. This time baliktad. Given yung score, hahanapin natin pang ilang percentile siya. Kaya ang term is percentile rank. So ginagamit siya sa mga standardized examination like yung NCAE. Kung makikita nyo sa NCAE nyo, yung scores nyo doon is based on a percentile. Ayan. So a value x is called percentile of a data set provided that p% of the data values are less than x. So therefore, ang formula niya is just bilangin nyo lang ilang values yung less than, ilan sa respondents yung less than that particular score, then divided by the total respondents times 100. For example, on a reading examination given to 900 students, so we know that this is N. So since yan yung samples na meron. Elaine's score of 602, ito yung X, yan yung score niya, was higher than the scores of 576. Okay, so basically, to get the percentile rank, so ilan yung mas mababa doon sa score na 602? Yung bilang ng respondents, 576 daw. Then we divide it by the total, which is 900 times 100. Okay, to get the percentage. So therefore, we will have 64%. Okay, ibig sabihin, yung 602 is the 64th percentile. So since nasa 64% siya. Okay, so that's how you interpret the percentile rank. Okay, so yun lang naman yung mga measures of position na i-discuss natin for this day, and thank you for listening.